If, like me, you have spent so much of your life inquiring within as to what your purpose is, hungering to understand your purpose, hungering to have a clearer vision or sense of your purpose, this video is for you. Hello and welcome to Temple of Akasha, the home of embodied spirituality with me, Natasha. In today's video, we're going to be exploring the very broad, very deeply reaching topic of purpose, dharma, destiny even. For me, this has been one of the most frustrating and agonizing questions on my journey as a soul incarnated in this form in this life. From early childhood, from maybe 6 or 7 years old, I have had an active inquiry process open around what my purpose is and why I'm here on earth. I remember being very young and staring out of my window as a child. I used to sleep in a bunk bed, and I'd be on the top of that bunk bed. I'd peek through the curtain and I'd stare up at the night sky. And every single night, especially on a clear night, I would stare at the littering of stars in the sky and this velvety tapestry above me. And I would be filled with a sense of awe, rapture even, longing, a sense of familiarity. It was an agony and an ache in me I just couldn't explain or understand. And looking up at the stars and having like a very deep fascination with the cosmos from a very young age, I was obsessed with the solar system and space. This, I feel, sparked my first real existential crisis at the age of 7 years old, because I was every single night trying to understand what my life means. What's my place in all of this? If I'm this tiny and the universe is this vast, why on earth am I here? Is my life meaningless? Those were the questions that used to dog me as a child. Those are the questions that gnawed away at something very deep within me. And I feel really forced a very enduring self-inquiry process about why I'm here on earth and what my purpose is here. And I think very much led to me seeking more fulfilling conditions for my life on earth, which I'm now very grateful for. But it's been a pretty gnarly journey getting to this point from my own internal experience. And so in today's video, I want to take what I've learned and understood and absorbed from my journey of trying to find purpose as a multidimensional being in human form, and try and relay and convey the essence of what purpose means to me now, so that hopefully you can find comfort, soothing, and clarity on your search for purpose too. Now, I think one of the first things to say about this is that when we are actually beginning to embark on the journey of truly understanding our purpose, we can't truly understand it from the lens that the matrix operates from. And what I mean is, we have been conditioned to really be very identified with the form world, very, very, very disconnected from the spiritual dimension of our experience, of our essence. And therefore, we tend to view purpose, at least initially, through the lens of what we can quantify and qualify and measure, i.e., what skills do I have? What's my value? What can I, tangibly offer a company, a business or something? What training do I have? And what roles, carved out roles, pre-established roles might I be able to squeeze myself into? We have a very limited set of parameters when it comes to truly understanding ourselves in the matrix. And so when we're talking about purpose, when we're engaging in a conversation about purpose, we actually have to take these blinkers off. We have to recognize that we can't begin to engage in a discussion about soul purpose from the level of just believing that we are this body and we live and die, and that, you know, we've got to try and operate within the conditions that have been laid out before us. The soul is innately pioneering. What we've come to do here on Earth has likely never been done before, at least not in our unique configuration, because there's never been this particular unique iteration of consciousness as there is right now, via you, via me, via every single individuation of the one incarnated. And so it's really important that we start to recognize that mainstream society doesn't really have the vocabulary or indeed the capacity, it seems, to truly engage in meaningful discussions around purpose. Because to me, our purpose is really innately linked to our spiritual nature and our spirituality in general, our true spirituality. And this was something that on my journey from going through university and, you know, working in corporate roles initially, working in recruitment, working in marketing, working in employability, I was always drawn to roles where I was trying to help people in some capacity, where I was a consultant or a mediator or someone that was helping to connect people with the thing that they want, you know, helping to provide solutions in some way. But I got frustrated because I never felt that I was truly getting to connect people with what they truly wanted. You know, as a recruiter, you are measuring a person's ability to do a job and to be a valuable asset to a company based on their CV. So a person has to attempt to condense down the totality of who they are and all of their dynamism and all they're capable of to an A4 document. It's a very dry, very hollow, very reductive system that doesn't actually take into account a lot of the intangible qualities of the soul and the heart and of our spiritual nature that, for me, are actually far more important when it comes to making true impact in the world. It's very difficult to quantify and qualify an open heart. It's very difficult to quantify and qualify a person that can be deeply present and listen and help others feel seen and heard. But these are really important qualities here on Earth at this time, in a world that has been living spiritually impoverished, and in a world that is crying out like a child crying for its mother to be seen and heard and loved and to feel deeply safe and enveloped in a sense of belonging again. So many of the qualities, skills, qualifications that are valued by the Matrix, while they can be valuable in terms of us building an experiential understanding of the world and developing ourselves, it's quite difficult to measure the true qualities of the soul via those parameters. And what has become apparent to me on the journey to truly understanding my purpose and living a more soul-led life, living a life in alignment with the will of the divine, is recognizing that if I'm truly here to do pioneering soul work, I have to stop using the external world as it is, mainstream society as it stands, as my benchmark for success, or indeed as my framework through which I work. The soul is inviting us to be pioneering. When we're moving into soul-led territory, into really living from purpose, we are being asked by the divine to become alchemists, to take all that we truly are within our being, all of the unique qualities and characteristics of our being, to alchemize them, merge them, unite them with the unique experiences and vantage points we've had in this incarnation and in our many other incarnations, and use that to birth something unique into the world, to be active creators, to begin to expand the world in new and pioneering horizons. And so from this vantage point, it's important to recognize that what you're here to do on Earth as a role or as something that you actively participate in or do, there may not be a pre-established role or set of parameters that are clear for you to follow. You may have to create that role / those parameters for yourself as you go, as you feel into your dharmic destined path forwards. And I think that This is one of the big pitfalls when it comes to people seeking their purpose, that they approach purpose like they're approaching a job in the mainstream society, a job in the matrix. I'm looking for, a job specification, a job description that's going to perfectly fit and outline all of the qualities that I embody. And I'm looking for something that I can just slot neatly into. That's not how purpose and Dharma works. You are not a cog in a machine, as much as the Matrix would like you to believe that you are. You are a unique, multifaceted configuration of divine consciousness. So while there are probably multiple roles that you could fulfill adequately within mainstream society, if you are here to live a soul-led life and a life of true purpose, you have to be willing to look beyond the roles and parameters that already exist in society and be prepared to create new ones. Be prepared to live in the unknown space of creation, of innovation. And I think one of the most fundamental things to remember above everything when we are considering living a life of purpose is that just being incarnated on Earth at this critical time, this holds tremendous value in and of itself. In a world that is so concerned with measuring value, measuring success, making everything and everyone a commodity as a result of capitalism, consumerism, colonialization, everything and everyone is something to extract resources from. In that world, we can often try and measure our worth and value according to those standards, and they're very wounded standards. And I think the first thing to remember, especially if you are someone that resonates with your multidimensionality, you feel into your cosmic, expansive, deeply soulful nature, you are already, as a unique iteration of divine consciousness, you are already innately worthy, innately valuable. There is nothing that you have to do or produce to be worthy or valuable. That's what the Matrix will have you believe, that your worth and value is conditional, and that you have to produce certain results or achieve certain success according to the warped Matrix's value system and standards, that worth and value can only be obtained through certain conditions. But what we have to understand as the foundation to truly understanding and living our purpose is that there is nothing to prove. There's no one we have to become. We are being asked by the divine to shed the illusions that make us feel anything less than what we truly are, which is children of God Goddess, unique sparks of divine consciousness. All of us equally worthy and valuable. Innately, it's already done. It comes part of the package. We're born worthy and valuable. So that was a message I had really clearly come to me 2 years ago when I was moving through a deeper process with myself, trying to understand my own purpose. And, I was having many different insights around my multidimensional nature as part of the Kundalini awakening process. And I was given the guidance that as heart-centered beings, we really, really underestimate the value that we have in just being here on Earth at this time. Those of us that are choosing to live a more conscious, aware, heart-centered life, trying to be conduits for love and awareness on the planet, we're providing a lot of service just by being embodied emanations of that vibration. That's valuable in and of itself. So then the question becomes, well, if you've got nothing to prove, if you don't have to earn your worth and value, if those things aren't conditional and they're innate, they're unconditional, what would you choose to be doing from a place of creativity, passion, love, abundance, overflow, rather than believing that you are deficient in some way and have to earn your worth and value? And that then becomes a creative conversation to be having with yourself. What would I be doing how would I be embodying, how would I be living if I was being moved by creation and the frequency of prosperity and overflow rather than fear, lack, and scarcity? Because many of us, when we are trying to understand our purpose, are naturally trying to straddle many realities at once, with our human needing to be able to eat and survive and have our basic needs provided for, and that requires the energy exchange of money, or at least having access to certain provisions, which usually requires money, but not always. And so we are trying to straddle our humanity that has needs and our divinity that is boundless, and we're trying to find a way to marry the two. And so often we can let our true purpose be clouded by the survival stress we have around meeting our basic needs. And that's absolutely understandable, because we do have basic needs and it's not to bypass those needs. But in terms of feeling into our vision for ourselves, our dharma, our destiny, the true soul purpose that we hold here on earth at this time, we can't be accessing that pioneering vision from lack, scarcity, fear, or survival. We have to be willing to let that energy go so that we can feel into the true expansive frequency of our soul and of our true purpose. And so when it comes to feeling into our purpose, I had a really interesting discussion with a client today around the exploration of considering our spiritual CV. You know, when we think about finding a role in the matrix, we put together a CV of our skills, our qualifications, our education and employment history. And these are all the things that we hope encapsulate kind of core elements of our being that make us potentially a valuable asset or a valuable member of an organization's team. A spiritual CV is perhaps a way of saying, if your soul could write what you came here to do, those things might be characterized by your interests, your values, and the recognition and the validation of the unique qualities that you hold as a being. And instead of looking to see where you can take all of your form world experiences and cobble them together to make a more meaningful path forward, can you recognize that you already hold attributes and qualities within your being that were uniquely assigned to you, that make you uniquely fit for purpose in terms of fulfilling your purpose and dharma on the planet? Now, you may need to undergo additional training to refine that or to remember it more clearly, but your being, you have a unique set of characteristics that's perfect for engaging in the path that you were destined to walk. And so when we're feeling into our spiritual CV, we really want to be asking questions about not where we've come from, but where we want to go. Instead of our employment history, what about our destined path? What about our dharmic path? Where do we want to be going? What lights us up? What gives us a sense of meaning and purpose and fulfillment? What are we passionate about? What do we want to lean into? What do we want to do more of? What would we be doing for the love of doing it? How do we want to give more to the world? How do we want to be of service? These are the questions the soul wants us to ask when we're considering purpose. Not, I'm not qualified enough to do this and I can't find a role within the 3D matrix to fit my unique desires. Create the role. If you have a desire to live and embody and emanate in a certain authentic way for yourself, you can guarantee that there are people out there that want to receive that in some way, whether it's a service or a product or just a sharing or just your frequency, you being who you are and living and moving through your day. You can guarantee that there are going to be people that benefit from that. And so also when it comes to purpose, it's really important to widen our parameters away from just our purpose being a role, and it's actually an embodiment. Recognizing that purpose is an embodiment. It's not just what we do, it's the state of consciousness from which we do what we do. How we walk, how we talk, how we breathe. What center of our being we move from. Is it from the heart? Is it from survival? You know, all of those are such important elements that make up our embodiment and what we emanate into the unified field, what we emanate into the web. So it's very important that we move beyond these really limited parameters of considering what we're here to do on the earth and actually really recognize that purpose is pioneering territory. The role that you're here to take up, one of the roles, one of the positions, one of the ways that you're here to embody in terms of service work, may not actually exist yet. And if it does, it may not be mainstream. Very likely isn't mainstream if you're on my channel. And so it's worth recognizing that your purpose is not a job, it's a way of being that may then choose to express in different roles. You may wish to be a guide or a teacher or a healer or a musician or an artist or a writer or a scientist, a researcher, someone that works with the planet, nature, ecology, etc. There's so many different ways in which you may choose to take all of your unique components, your interests, your value system, your unique qualities and essential aspects of your being, your unique genius, skills, talents, imaginative ways of thinking and feeling your way through the earth, your psychic abilities, all of these things. These are all the elements that come together alchemically to create your unique medicine, your unique purpose. And I don't resonate with any teaching or narratives that suggest that purpose is a singular thing. Some people do have a more consistent dharmic path. You know, some people are born and just know they want to be doctors or lawyers or vets or whatever it is they choose to move towards in their incarnation. Some people have very clear vision from early childhood and they follow that path through with passion and with integrity and with drive. But for a lot of us, purpose is not a singular track. It's not a singular role. As I've said before, it's an emanation of our core being, our essential being, our authentic being that may wish to express in a multitude of ways. And so it's important that we don't limit purpose to one outlet. I wish to write a book, many books. I wish to create a successful YouTube channel where I can provide lots of free, valuable content to people. I wish to create courses, work in groups, work one-to-one, hold in-person retreats and ceremonies. I wish to create artwork. I wish to create music. I want to live and work with animals and other people. And I want to support the cultivation of communities. Whether I do all of that in this incarnation or not, who knows? But my purpose, if I was to try and pinpoint a single one of those things, couldn't just be pinned down to any of those things. It's a culmination of all those things. And really, at its core, it's being of service in a heart-led way. It's giving from love and overflow in my heart. It's helping to uplift the web of life. That feels like my purpose. How that chooses to express, there are no limits. So do not limit what purpose means. I believe that purpose is a feeling, and we're guided towards it because when we engage in certain acts or activities, when we're around certain people or environments, we'll start feeling a certain way and we'll be given the feedback, hey, maybe start doing more of this, maybe do less of this. You know, we're guided along our dharmic path and we have our felt sense experience and our hearts to guide us, if we have the courage and the awareness to tune in and listen. So in terms of actualizing or beginning the process of actualizing your purpose, I want to leave you with an exploration or an inquiry. I invite you to connect to your heart, go into meditative space, light some incense, light some candles, make yourself cozy, and allow yourself, perhaps with the assistance of a guided meditation or music, to journey into your being. Imagine white light, the white light of your being, your true essence emanating, clearing your field of obscurities and fallacies and fears. Let yourself return to neutral and really invite your heart and your soul to bring forward what feels truly alive and enriching for you. If you could live an unbridled, untamed, untethered life, what would it look like? What's the dream? What's the vision for your life? Who are you with? What are you doing? Where are you? How do you spend your days? How do you adorn? How do you move, breathe, live, etc.? Feel it. What does a fulfilling, enriching, nourishing, purposeful life feel like for you? Now, when we connect to our dreams and our visions like that, what tends to happen when we're feeling into purpose is that the mind will start to judge and say, okay, I want to be, I don't know, a musician. I love to connect with sound and with singing, but I'm not a trained vocalist. I don't know how to play instruments. I don't really have a network around music. It's just not possible. That vision must be wrong. I must just have to park that and just confine music to a hobby. That's one way you could look at it. If that's a true, alive vision in your heart, that's one route. Feels like a pretty deflating route, very diminishing, because your soul's asking you to stretch yourself, perhaps, beyond your known parameters, to tap into wisdom and gifts and talents and resilience to build the skills you need, to remember the gifts that you may already have that you don't yet embody. So one route is to say, well, I can't do it, so I won't do it. Another route is to say, what steps would I need to take in order to move closer to actualizing that vision or dream? And I've spoken about this in other videos, but this is a process that I call deconstructing your desires. You take the vision, you take the feeling even of how you want to feel, and then you can start actually deconstructing the path and say, well, what would I need to be doing on a day-to-day basis? What training might I need to engage in? Who would I need to be surrounding myself with? What environments would I want to be in to move closer towards actualizing that dream and that vision? And then start taking the steps. We always have a choice in this life. We can choose to continue to identify with the limits of the fallen world and the limits that the matrix imposes on us, that we are cogs in a big machine, that we are here to be homogenized, and we should be content with that. That's not the paradigm I live within, and it's not the paradigm that I encourage others to live within either, because that world is devoid of God. It's devoid of the spiritual dimension of life. And instead, those of us who feel and see the vision of the new earth, that know we came here with true purpose to uplift this web of life, it's our responsibility and duty to live and move and embody from a different vibrational vantage point, one that sees potential and one that moves towards a higher potential and actualization, both for ourselves and for the planet. So I invite you, when you're exploring purpose and dharma meaning destiny, to really connect with not the fear-based judgments and stories, but the gnosis of your heart and that fire that burns within you when you connect to something that feels really important to you, or really nourishing, or the tingling you get when you're doing certain things or you're around certain people. You are always receiving guidance, but it's your responsibility to lean in and listen and start recognizing that that is for you to claim. You don't have to live in a feast and famine mode where you only get to experience those things you love occasionally. But the divine wants you to develop the resilience and the mastery to building the life you love, because that's what soul evolution is about. It's about becoming masterful. It's about having the courage to elevate ourselves out of the fear-based web and to align with God's will again, which is not something beyond dogma that is common in this world anymore. True spirituality has been so distorted and lost on this planet for so long. It takes a lot of courage to live a truly spiritual life. And a true spiritual life is often a quiet one, in that a lot of the qualities we're being asked to cultivate are inner qualities. They're not loud and shiny. They're not often validated in the world around us, by people around us. And if we're on a true spiritual path, that won't matter, because God sees it, we see it, and that's enough. And to me, if we're living a life that truly enriches our inner landscape, that feels truly purposeful to us, that elevates our internal state to one of love, and we have the opportunity to gift that vibration to the world in some way, whether it's just through our embodiment or through action and sharing that, then it's definitely something worth pursuing. So I hope this has been an insightful and fruitful exploration for you. I encourage you strongly to keep leaning in and having the courage to follow your dharmic path and purpose. Lord knows the world needs it now more than ever. And I really look forward to connecting with you again in the next transmission. If you're not already subscribed to my channel, I invite you to subscribe. There is a beautiful burgeoning community here. And if you found this video helpful, I really encourage you to like and share with someone that you feel that might benefit. Thank you, and I'll connect with you again really soon.